I'm R Boots, and this is my news show. It is E3 week, but you probably already knew that. I won't spend a whole lot of time on E3 stuff. I will put a little bit of, my thoughts on things towards the end. But I guess I will technically have some topics that are sort of E3 related, but I don't really want to be talking about a lot of E3 stuff, mainly because I don't have the time to do that. So I guess there's that. Cuphead is now becoming a platformer. Well, even more than what it was in the past. Up until recently, Cuphead has just been a game about defeating many different styled bosses, where each one was very different from the last. But now, Studio MDHR is adding a full campaign mode, if that's what you want to call it. I've seen mixed feelings about this, and I think the biggest worry is that the game might become repetitive. For a game that used to be all about different boss fights and learning how to defeat one, only to be thrown into a different situation that requires learning about all over again. When you are put in levels with many of the same enemy in it, you will quickly learn how to defeat one and then will know how to defeat the rest. I haven't been following this game near as much as some people have, so I don't really have much of an opinion on this. But it is something that I worry will cause others to stop playing because they just don't like the standard platforming aspect of it. It kind of changes the whole feel of a game from a sort of fighting game to just another 2D platformer that doesn't really bring anything new. Regardless, the art style is amazing, and that might just be enough for some people to play through the levels. Everybody's favorite zombie photographer, Frank West, is back in Dead Rising 4. This is not a remake, as many people thought when this was still just leaked information. And it's actually not a reboot either. Frank is returning back to Willamette, Colorado, 16 years after the first game took place. I didn't realize it took this long to fix a zombie infestation, but it sounds like this is actually the second outbreak this town had. It isn't actually the same one as before, so I guess that's unfortunate for the town. The game is set to release around the holidays this year, which coincides with the Christmas theme that this game has. It is also going to release on Xbox One and Windows 10 PC because Microsoft needs more people to use their newest operating system. Unfortunately, I already have Windows 10 installed on my computer, so fortunately, I can get this game on its release date already. I'm mostly worried about how I will have to obtain it though. I assume it will be required to use the Windows 10 store in order to purchase it, which I have heard kind of bad things about. I've heard complaints about Rise of the Tomb Raider and that the Windows 10 version doesn't allow recording using third-party software. Only the built-in Windows 10 recording software works, and that there are a lack of settings that you can control, and it doesn't allow mods to be installed. I think there was even something to do with being locked at 30 FPS, and due to the inability to mod, you can't remove the 30 FPS lock. But ignoring all the problems that the Windows Store might cause me to have, the game itself looks pretty good. I've been a fan of the Dead Rising series since Dead Rising 2, and if 4 is going to be better than 3, then I have high hopes. I've actually been trying to play through Dead Rising 3 again, but my friend is still trying to buy a GTX 1080 and refuses to play the game without it. SUPERHOT now has a trailer specifically for their VR version of the game. The most notable change is the ability to dual wield and, of course, to actually duck underneath the bullets rather than just strafing to the side. The most important thing about the VR version is that it isn't just a cheap VR controller that was tacked onto the game after the fact. The game was actually redesigned with VR in mind. From what I've seen, and from what is shown in the trailer, it looks like each level requires the player to stand still in a single location, so people shouldn't have to worry about getting motion sick due to being moved around. Also, the time controls are tied to the controller's movement speed. I don't know if that also includes the headset, but I would assume so. Last week, I talked a little bit on VR device exclusives, and this version of the game is still going to be released for Oculus Rift, but it should only be a timed exclusive. Vive users will just have to wait, hopefully. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up before it's been 100% confirmed. As if people aren't mad enough at Infinity Ward for charging $80 for Call of Duty 4 Remastered, then throwing in their new Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and then calling it a bundle, they decided to take it a little bit farther. If you are so inclined, you may pre-purchase the bundle on the PlayStation Store and get Call of Duty 4 on November 4, 30 full days before its full release. It does only include the single player. The multiplayer will be unlocked upon the real release date, but everyone loves arbitrarily timed exclusives though. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. I think it's stupid, but I guess whatever sells more copies of the game. I hope someday I will be able to buy just Call of Duty 4 Remastered and won't have to buy a game I don't want to play along with it. I remember reading somewhere that even if you get the remastered version, say from a friend or a third-party website, you are still required to own Infinite Warfare in order to play it. I hope that was just a rumor I heard, but honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if Infinity Ward actually tried to pull something like that. Remember the successful new IP Watch Dogs? Oh, you tell me that people didn't like that game? That people said it was boring to play? Well, you're in luck because Ubisoft has released a Watch Dogs 2 trailer along with the world premiere of the game. The trailer itself is all pre-rendered cutscenes that makes the game look nice but give little to no information about the game itself, other than it takes place in San Francisco. If you want real information, you have to watch the full 18-minute premiere video. Even the description on Steam says basically nothing. It states that your objective is to execute the biggest hack in history. Yeah, thanks for the information, Ubisoft. Of course, you can't just buy the game, you have to decide between 3 different versions. The normal version, what are you, a casual? The deluxe edition, which includes 2 personalization packs with new outfits and skins for your car, drone, and weapon. Or the one that everyone has to buy, the Gold Edition, which also includes the Season Pass. But wait, there's more. If you pre-order now, you get an extra mission, the Zodiac Killer. Hopefully one day we will stop seeing all these awful pre-order bonuses on games, but not today. Being someone who bought the first Watch Dogs, I'll admit, these videos got me a little excited about Watch Dogs 2. Am I going to get it? Not when it's still priced at $60. I don't really know if I want to take that risk again. But I will say this, I didn't hate Watch Dogs. I just felt like it got boring after a while, and I assume this is going to be pretty much the same thing. It does seem like Watch Dogs 2 is not trying as hard to make it a really serious story, because a lot of what I heard makes it sound like a joke. For example, the developers are aware of the internet, so we should expect to see all kinds of the hot memes in the game, because memes are definitely a selling point for the games that I want to play. Something that I remember was advertised a lot in Watch Dogs was that everyone has their own life, and if you stop for a little bit, you can see what people are doing. And I guess they are making even more of an effort to do that in this game, because they said that you are supposed to be able to hack like literally everyone in the world, and I guess you're going to be given a bunch of useless information about that character. I don't know. I'm excited to see where this game goes and curious about its longevity, because like I said, the first one I kind of got bored after a while, but who knows, maybe this one will keep me entertained a little longer. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I was going to say stuff about E3, but not have like full dedicated topics to them. So I guess here's a small list of things that interested me in E3. And I guess there is still another day left, so I might do something like this next week unless nothing else interests me. But Hideo Kojima announced his first independent game from Kojima Productions, Death Stranding. Looks cool. I have no idea what kind of game it is. I assume it's going to be maybe a horror, but probably more of like a psychological thriller. So that looks cool. Resident Evil 7 was announced, and I haven't played Resident Evil games. I have 5, I think. I don't know. I have one that's pretty meh. But as far as I'm aware, this might actually be the first person version of it. And I think that's partially supposed to be because it's going to have VR support. But it actually looks to be more of like a horror game rather than an action shooter with zombies. So I guess this is supposed to be the Allison Road that was supposed to be the Silent Hills. So I guess we'll see where this one goes. If this one gets shut down, we will know for sure that the horror type, the first person horror game like this is apparently just completely gone. Playdead, the makers of Limbo, announced Inside. It looks very similar to Limbo. There's more colors rather than black and white and shades of gray. But it does look pretty cool. I'll check that one out later on. Grow Up, I guess it's a sequel to Grow Home, which I thought Grow Home was a good game. It's very casual because the point of it is to basically climb really high. But the thing is, the first one was essentially a tech demo, and I guess someone at Ubisoft was like, "Hey, this is good. We can charge money for this." So then they did that. So I don't know what kind of game Grow Up is gonna be. There's obviously gonna be new things to it, but apparently instead of going from Earth to Mothership, you're going from Earth to the moon. So that sounds a little longer, but yeah, we'll see how they can turn a tech demo into a full-blown game. I am a little worried about it, because if they charge like $60 for this, I'm going to have to give it a pass. Because I think Grow Home was $15 or $20. I don't know. I don't remember. More Ubisoft stuff. They have a new IP called Steep, which has wingsuits, snowboards, paragliding, skis, you know, the usual snow sports, I guess. They claim that this is like a new type of game that's never been done before, which I guess you could say technically. I have played Snow. It's not that good, so I'm hoping this will be better than that. But I guess that's really the only sort of open world snow sport game. I don't know how I feel about making something like this open world. It could be good, but I'll obviously have to look into that later. Ghost Recon Wildlands looks like a fun game. Once again, more open world. All games these days are open world. And Xbox One S and Xbox Scorpio. I'm going to be honest. For a while, I thought Xbox One S was the Xbox Scorpio, but S is short for Slim, and Scorpio is just their new version of Xbox that's supposed to be more powerful. I'm sure eventually I will have like an actual news story on the S, or more importantly, the Scorpio, but for now, I'm just You know, it's been announced. It's a thing, kind of. And We Happy Few, that was the most recent thing I looked up, and that looks like a fun game. I really like the theme of people are just being forced into happiness. It looks like an interesting type of I don't know if survival horror. I guess it's kind of a horror game, but yeah, it looks like an interesting kind of survival game. I don't know when its release date is. I actually don't even know if one's been set, but whatever. So that's my current list of E3 stuff that I was at least somewhat interested in. A lot of announcements and a lot of stuff that I will have to look into later, but yeah. I guess this is supposed to be my outro, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I will have links to the various articles and videos in the description if you care to check them out for yourself, and feel free to rate the video accordingly and subscribe if you want weekly information on the news that I thought was interesting.